We are live.
All right, bro. We got a extra special treat on the Gainzcast today. IFBB Pro. Bartley Weaver, Dream Weaver, living the dream, making all the gains, eating all the burgers and sandwiches and pies. Oh my, what's going on, my man? Oh, can you see the NWO hat? He fucking came on with NWO hat, knowing that we're wrestling fans from the 90s and 2000s, man. What's going on, big dog? How are you feeling post victories, pro shows? You didn't just win a pro card. You went and did 17 pro shows 2 days in a row. You were like a fucking, like, who was the rest? Wasn't there like, there was one there was, who's the one guy? No, fucking Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris did like 800.
That sentence went so many places so quickly.
It's game on, man. It's game fucking on. Do you understand who this man is? Do you understand? Well, let's learn who he is. Tell us a little bit about yourself, bro.
Brother, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been watching. I'll tell you what, man. Watching all these freaking leaner by the days that you've been putting out, I had no option but to get lean. You got me motivated, babe.
Well, I mean, it's that's what we do in this community, though. A lot of people don't understand, like the bodybuilding community, especially in the southern, I'm going to say the southern states, like Tennessee, Kentucky, even you go up to Ohio, kind of like it's all one big fitness community. We come together, we have a good time. We got Brandon Curry, obviously representing best bodybuilder in the world. You got Bo Lewis up here. You got a bunch of really good talent. You got Courtney English. I mean, you can't help but to get infected by the fitness movement, man. We're like a combination of COVID and herpes in this bitch. Like, we are infectious and we just come back flaring, and it's amazing, man. So tell us about yourself, this pro bodybuilder right here, this amazing man, bringing the shreds, dropping 80 pounds in 2 days. I've seen some shit, and then gaining it all back, eating challenges. Learn about this, man.
Yeah, brother. The journey started about 12 years ago. Was my first competition. I was 20 years old, just missed the teen division, got up there with a bunch of men like you, got smoked, and I was like, man, I can't. It's going to take me 4 or 5 years to put on the amount of muscle I need to step on stage with these guys. So by the time I come back to the stage, Classic Physique had come out. So once that came out, it felt like, to me, it kind of leveled the playing field as far as, the height versus weight restrictions and the weight caps. And so I jumped back into it once again, got my butt kicked again. And it's been a slow, steady grind ever since then, and slowly every year, jumped up a few spots on the national stage. And last year I missed my pro card by one spot at USA's, and then a week later I actually won my class at the Amateur Olympia, but didn't get the pro card in the overall. So they only took the top 3 of the forward and overall. So I'm the only one that didn't get it on stage, man. So that got me fired up for this year. And I told myself that I needed to strike while the iron was hot, and needed to get in there. And, I felt like I had some momentum for a change. You know what I mean? It's, for us folk that don't necessarily have, we got good genetics, but still there's I'm kind of the blue collar, hard working bodybuilder of the people. So I just had to basically.
For those of you who couldn't, we are in fact white.
Yeah. So
we're even worse, dude. We're Jews, man. We got Bill Goldberg and Mike Katz.
It's great because he's got the tan on, and look at how freaking translucent we look.
Oh shit, man! I need
your hat just blends into your face.
Man, I'm fucking cancer boy over here, man. I can't go tan.
Hey, listen to this, Mark. Listen to this.
No, I'm listening.
I was walking through the casino in the Bahamas for my pro debut, and a group of black ladies was like, "Dang, boy, you looking good." And I had some Jordans on, I was flossing.
That's all he was wearing.
Yeah.
And one of them asked me, they said, what's your ethnicity? I was like, what do you think? They's like, mixed or you black?
If he was naked, they would have known he's not black. Because his lap insertions,
Obviously.
Lad insertions for sure.
So how did it feel to win your pro card, man? After all that time, what kind of emotions were running? Because I know when I got my pro card, which I'm trying to kind of regain, I remember just like this feeling of like, for me, and I don't want to spoil, but for me, like the immediate feeling was like relief. And then the next day I woke up and I'm like, it was kind of a letdown because I'm like, oh shit, that was awesome.
Exactly.
Moment. Like now I'm normal again. Like, so what were your emotions like when that happened?
Yeah, it was, I'd been second place for so freaking long that I just like looked down at my number and was just waiting to hear my number being called second place because, I got used to it. You know what I mean? And, when they called the other guy's number, I was just, man, that we finally freaking did it. And kind of like you said, next morning didn't really seem real. Went and did my fasted cardio, mainly because I ate probably 7 pounds before bed.
Pictures, man. If you guys aren't following him on Instagram, this guy can fucking eat.
He said something about peanut butter and jellies before we went live. That sounds good right now.
Hey, this is what I ate last night. I ate 4 Icon meals. I had a half a loaf. They sell the half loaves now, so we're not fully fat by eating a full loaf.
You're only half fat.
And so half a loaf of sourdough bread, a whole jar of peanut butter, a whole jar of jelly, and I had I bought some type of little junk load Nature Valley granola bars that I use before a show. So I went pretty hard.
Because a whole jar of peanut butter doesn't sound gross to me. I can easily if you hand me a jar of peanut butter, it won't last more than an hour.
Well, I mean, peanut butter is kind of my thing.
Yeah, but also just the thought of eating a whole jar of jelly kind of made me nauseous.
Yeah, the whole jar of jelly is weird.
That's what got me.
Mark, that's your next move, I believe.
The jelly?
Peanut butter.
We have the outright spreads, but honestly, we're just supporting the fit butters now. Ryan's my boy, and I'm just kind of the outright butters are there, but it's like he's our way and the planta in it. Like I'm like, you know what? There's enough for I make peanut butter into perfectly formed whole food bars. I'm gonna stick to what I'm fucking good at. Leave the fit butters to my buddy Ryan Buckeye. And I have my outright butters. People who love the outright brand, but honestly, like I know my like I have enough shit going on with formed butter bars, so I'm just gonna hang out with that. Speaking of shit, you got a shit going on and brands. You got your own brand now, right?
Yeah, man, I've got a couple of them. I started doing apparel probably about 5 years ago. As more motivational apparel. I got some food apparel. I always thought it was fun to do that. And who doesn't love food? Not everybody loves fitness, but everybody loves food. So I had a bunch of cool little food shirts, and so that branched off, and I started my own supplement company during the pandemic, and it's been running smooth. We've hit a little friction with some big name companies that are trying to come after me for no reason. I guess they getting a little scared of this helmet back here.
Welcome to my world, man. Lawsuits are. I thought it was just because I'm Jewish. But welcome to the. I mean, if you need,
I'm just glad he's not calling you out for suing him.
Yeah, it had to happen. I sue everybody at least once.
You were the first person I hit up once I got that notification about.
It's the phone of Jew. You're like, what do I do? Oh my God, he's not a lawyer, but he's Jewish.
Oy vey.
Hey, but I was like, I know the playbook. I'm like, okay, man. Here's what I recommend you do, and that's the thing, is that over the course of watching him and knowing him locally, I honestly, I talked to him more than probably everybody but 3 people, and all 3 of those people are Mike, Sean, and Chad. It's probably the 4th guy I talk to, like, frequently. We probably talk daily, don't we?
Yeah, especially it's always fun suffering with somebody. Me and you, I probably suffer more than you. You just stay freaking shredded year round. So we were there for, you were there for me when I was in death mode, and now it's my turn to carry you through and get you this pro card, man. I think you're all over.
Great sounding board and smart guy. And the thing is, you had a picture go viral this year of you standing looking like a giant. How tall are you?
6'1", 6'1" in a quarter. That's what I hide in at these shows. So
because you had that one picture go viral. I don't know if you want to disclose what picture it was, but it was crazy because you looked like an action figure next to normal sized people. I don't think people understand how large you are.
Which one was it?
It was the one with the riot shield.
Oh yeah.
That was all over. I had people send it to me. Do you know this guy? I'm like, actually, I do. Because first I'm like, who is that monster? And then you posted it, and I'm like, holy sh! Because you're standing there with a bunch of normal people who are probably fit, people in that line of work, and you just stood out like a monster, and your arms looked about like you looked like Phil Heath arms. I was like, dude, what the hell is that? And then I'm like, oh, that's my boy. Cause you couldn't obviously tell who you were.
Yeah. You just had to look at the cargo pocket full of snacks and you was like, yep, that's him.
How many? So I noticed that you have, I think you look bigger because your outfit was stuffed with snacks.
Dude, I had so many snacks there. I was like, man, this is life or death, man. And I'm not gonna die hungry. You know what I mean? So
you work a full-time job though, right?
Yeah.
So you have
full-time trooper with the state police here in Kentucky. And that's when we went up to Louisville for the riots. I think that was the first time we went. That was the first time that state police had been called to Louisville for the riots since the bus riots back in the 60s.
Wow.
So it was a big deal. We didn't really know what to think going in. And, the first night it was chaos. I ain't gonna lie to you, and once you kind of, find your bearings in the city and know how everything works, and, it was a little safer after that. But that first night, man, there's glass bottles full of who knows what, flying at you. It was pretty wild. Yeah.
That had to be frightening. I mean, what were your emotions when it happened?
Yeah, it was, to be honest with you, I was telling people that it felt like a video game. It was like full on, brigade, and you can't, they're up in your face and all that. We created a little distance, the rest of the week between us with the flashbangs and whatever else that we had. But it was pretty wild. And Fox News caught me eating peanut butter crackers. I was on Hannity. And they flipped to the street view, and I'm sitting like this with my shield down, going
just snacking. That's hilarious. And I've never been I've been in situations like, that I could have, obviously not my job, but I was, as a kid, I did some stupid things. Is it so when you're in those situations, like, what is your immediate feeling to protect others? Like, I just want to know what goes through your mind, because we don't know what goes on in someone's head when they're in the middle of a situation where people are angry for reasons that, are probably justified, but you have a job to protect your city. So what goes through your head? It's like, oh my God, like, are you afraid of doing something that gets you in trouble personally? Is you're just thinking, I need to protect my city. I need to protect these people who are really angry, who are rioting, from hurting themselves and others. I mean, because you're obviously not a violent guy. You're not a guy who just wants to hurt people. Like, is your role like, okay, I just need to diffuse this situation and protect? I mean, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, basically you're just taking supervisor orders on standing the ground and where to, where to move, different formations and stuff. But like you said, I'm the least confrontational person ever. I'm laid back, I'm not trying to start nothing with nobody, do nothing. just doing my job here, guys, just doing my job, and some of them, some of the rioters realize that, and they'll come up to you and you kind of have a decent conversation, but then you get a hoodlum that, throws something from the back, or somebody trying to bust through the formation, and then you got to stand your ground. So it's not a favorable situation whatsoever, but we had plenty of snacks. That's what I'm saying. Hey, we need to bring these snacks out here. Keep the peace. No snacks, no peace.
Yeah, actually, I went down to Nashville and handed out some bars to some of the guys.
Oh, did you? That's awesome.
Well, I mean, we didn't mean to. I just had them in my car. Like, I wanted to see. So when this all went down, like, it doesn't usually happen in towns. Nashville's just chill, like Louisville's not exactly. There's some areas, but like, you know what? It's not where I grew up. It's not Inglewood. It's not Watts. Right. So you don't expect that. So, I went down there with my daughter to go see, because they did burn a courthouse, and it was funny because I walked up to the Metro Nashville, two great dudes. I'm like, guys, what's going on? And they recognize it, like, hey man, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, my daughter had a soccer thing like 10 minutes away, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, man, it's really funny. And I said, what? They said they burned down the wrong courthouse. They burned down the civil courthouse, which is basically like, child support and alimony cases. The criminal courthouse was like, federal court was down the road. It was 2 blocks away. He's like, we don't want to tell them because then they might go to the right one. But it's like, these guys were just like, they were exhausted, man. They were out there the night before, and then they were just kind of standing there. It was kind of chill, but it was weird. Nashville's a weird spot where there was literally riots the night before. The next day, people on the rooftop drinking. Yeah.
I was like, this ain't nothing.
Like nothing happened. Nashville's a very weird. Have you noticed that about Nashville, Matt?
That it's weird?
Well, I mean, East Nashville is definitely weird, but like Nashville is weird in that.
Well, East Nashville is probably the most chill.
It's very chill.
Yeah.
We ate there the other night, but they're the cool thing is, like, you could have a riot and then people are just out walking their dogs and drinking the next day like nothing.
There would never be a riot in East Nashville. If they're going to riot, it's usually
they couldn't miss that brunch next morning.
Riot.
What was that?
They couldn't miss that brunch the next morning.
You can't miss your brunch, and you can't miss the overweight ladies dancing on the back of the
God. Dude, the parking lot for those party trucks is right from in the middle of East Nashville and downtown, which is where I go onto the highway coming back from my girlfriend's house, and I always get stuck in front of them. And there are always just these belligerently drunk people on the back of a truck with no safety features, like should not be shaking their ass, but they are. And they just they're waving at everyone in the window, and a lot of times they're waving back. But I'm from New York, so my go-to response is just flip them off and make sure that they're as annoyed as I am, because I have to wait for their dumb asses to get onto the highway.
It's so funny.
I need to get you all on the back of one of those. My buddy owns Hell on Wheels, the big army-looking truck that you see going downtown.
All go there. That'd be a great video. That'd be a fun video. I think that's something we need to set up. The thing is the dildo squirt. So I'm sitting there, I'm walking with my kids. The dildo squirt guns, they got them. It's like dildos, and they're like water guns, and they squirt them at people. And I'm sitting there like with my kids, and this woman was so shaky. She pulled out, she's yay, shaking it, and I'm like standing there, my 8-year-old Preston. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, don't worry, we got plenty of dildos at home. Like, that's just in the wrong drawer for him. Like, oh, so I left the dildo out again.
Oh man.
It's so you're so obviously we've gone over that. So your training and diet, like your training style. Let's go into that. How do you normally train? Is there a training methodology you subscribe to? Or do you just go by instinct? Are you a Dorian Yates type guy? Are you a volume trainer? How do you train? Because we're going to train this weekend, and I want to know. I forgot to tell you. I told you about Friday, but that he's coming by Friday. We're going to train. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yep.
So what training methodology do you normally subscribe to?
I think it's evolved over the years. Growing up was more of the basic compound lifts, really didn't have access to, all these fancy machines that you see nowadays. I love going to Carbon and playing around on all the Prime and Arsenal equipment. You know, that's something I just didn't have access to, you know, growing up. So, you know, times have changed, but I definitely I train instinctively. I don't have a set split, but I do try to hit everything every 3 to 4 days based on what I'm feeling, how I'm eating, you know, like for example, you know, I'm going to do a hardcore back day today before our back day Saturday. So
yeah.
I was like, man, I'm gonna feel it. That's what the judges said that I need to improve. So I like to fuel, you know, higher calorie for my lagging body part days. So I knew I was doing that, and plus I can do whatever the crap I want now. You know, hey, I've been on the diet there for about 3 or 4 months, man, and just happened to go to the grocery last night, and I ate everything that I bought.
So now you have to go back. And lucky to know that Costco would have been a bad thing. Everything be family size. Like, you know, I need you to talk to my son Thomas. He's having trouble. He's actually eating a lot more, but the kids, you know, he's one of those. He's going to be as good as he can eat. You know, a lot of people just don't eat enough. But as a competitive eater, I think that you have a distinct advantage. Once you get to a certain level in bodybuilding, and this is what always kind of held me back is, you know, a lot of it's predicated on if you can, because a lot of these good bodybuilders are hard gainers. You know, like a lot of them just a matter of who can get in enough food. And I remember back in the day, you'd watch these videos and stories of Dorian going to like like bodybuilding shows with a bucket of KFC, you know, in the off season, and Ronnie just would eat. And a lot of people try to keep it too clean. And I want to know your thoughts on this. Like a lot of people, hard gainers, not talking about, a lot of people are fat and shouldn't just dirty bulk.
But for the people who want to put on weight, but just like their metabolism
you can't fucking eat chicken and rice, bro.
No, you got to get a little dirty.
You got to get some Sweet Baby Ray's. You put Ronnie put a whole entire fucking jar of KC Masterpiece on his chicken. Like this, some clean eating chicken breast. Then he put 8,000 calories of KC Masterpiece, and then opened another bottle after he drained it all.
He needed a beverage.
Yeah, I mean, so what is when you bulk, you're bulking now. Okay, you're not bulk, but you're not dieting. Are you one of those like YOLO eat whatever guys? Do you eat mostly clean? Is 80-20 rule? What do you do?
I'll tell you what, my favorite approach, just because I love eating a huge meal before bed, makes me sleep good. You know, I save a lot of carbs for my pre-bed meal. Just helps me sleep, makes me feel good, and I always train first thing in the morning. So I'm kind of getting it's kind of like a pre-workout meal per se. You know,
just it's still sitting there. It's still in your small intestine, just kind of chilling, hanging out. What kind of foods? I mean, obviously we know about your half a loaf of sourdough bread, by the way, because of the enzymes in it, actually digest relatively slow. Just a little tidbit of
sourdough is delicious.
Sourdough is my go-to. And you know, sourdough and rye, I think is a Jew thing. I mean, and fucking holla. Matzah is just lazy bread. They just are like, fuck it, we have no yeast. You know, and Jews just like,
there's a time issue.
You know, I really think that matzah is like the Jews' version of chopsticks. Like, we're not going to argue that forks are much more efficient than chopsticks, but the Asians just refuse to let go of that tradition. That's kind of like Jews and matzah. They've come a long way in bread, yet they're still eating crackers and calling it unleavened bread.
Hey, I'm a spoon guy.
I like spooning. Big spoon or small spoon?
Small spoon. makes it last longer.
We actually used to have a joke. We used to use small spoons and call them prep spoons, and we were going to actually come out with a gift with purchase that was a small spoon that had prep spoon written on it. Never did it. That'd be a good collaboration product for us. The prep spoon. I think we should do it.
Yeah,
we just got to source that.
Or we could have a fork on the other side, because I mean sporks are cool, but you know, it's still a little weird to me. You know what I mean? I gotta have one or the other.
And the poker, you know, I like a smooth. Like if I'm putting a spoon in my mouth, I want it to be smooth. I don't want anything that can stab me.
Are we still talking?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we're talking about English. Get your mind out of the fucking gutter, man. I mean, damn, this guy can't take me anywhere. You know, it's like no, but I think a two-sided, like a spork, but not combined, like a. You know, like a dual, like kind of a fucking, like, you know, you have the two sides and voila, like, that Donatello on one side and then a fucking like shield on the other, like Captain America meets Michelangelo. Michelangelo had the fucking turtles.
Or like a pocket knife that you can, you can whip out different utensils there.
I think we're onto something. I think we need to find the mold. We need to get this made immediately. I think it's our next like $1 million, at least $10 idea. Yeah. So back to bulking. I'm sorry, I got so off track. So you like to eat that big meal before bed, you save up. So you're dieting. I saw you were eating just like almond butter for like 3 days because you had to make weight, right? You're the opposite of me.
Right. So a strategy that I come up with, I guess probably a couple of years ago when I started to really have trouble making weight, I was like, man, I've got to do something to kind of, keep the volume inside of my stomach small while I still need some calories to, function, training, doing 2 hours of cardio a day and weight training. I was like, man, I got to have something, but I need to start bringing down the gut. And that's kind of something that I learned from competitive eating because, one day out from a competition, I'll do primarily liquids and almond butter, whatever I can do, because I don't want my stomach to have to break down a bunch of food and, and I want as much capacity, as much space as possible. So that's something I started doing for that. And I would do that and then go into, anywhere from a 18 to 24-hour fast going into the food challenge. That way, I was fully empty, and then I would do my little water trick. I'd drink a gallon of water in a minute, stretch my stomach out so big it about make you cry. And then, it takes about 6 hours for your body to process a gallon of water. So by the time, I would drink that water before the competition, and it would be everything had been released at that point, and I'd expand my stomach capacity a little bit. So
how long was it for your body to process that water again?
About 5 to 6 hours.
Okay, so 5 to 6 hours before the eating challenge, you drink. And I want to caution people: don't try this at home because hyponatremia, you can die. So just that is a professional at work.
Yeah.
Put that in there.
But I kind of pulled that from that. So going into my preps this year, starting about 2 days out, I would go to almond butter only, and come weigh-ins, I'm not holding any extra water, because I hadn't been eating carbs for a few days, so I'm fully depleted there. However, I'm fully fat loaded, intermuscular, fat storage. What's it called? Like the triglyceride, intercellular triglycerides. I'm fully tapped out there. So, with a quick turnaround, usually NPC, you got 1 day, you compete the next day after the weigh-in. So what I do is I would just hammer the freaking carbs. I mean, cookies, junk. I mean, you take me to the gas station, I'm in heaven, man, because I'm gonna get muffins, I'm gonna get coffee cakes, I'm gonna get chips, I'm gonna, it's a beautiful thing to see all that junk food after dieting for so long. But
almond butter for 2 days.
Yeah, almond butter for 2 days, and then I finally get some carbs. So that's kind of how I did it, and it worked. And one of the trainers came up to me that I know of, and he's like, man, I don't know how you freaking do it. He's like, you need to write a book or something, because you're the only person that's eating almond butter for 2 days and then fasting and dropping 26.5 pounds in 2 days, and then you're eating all this freaking junk food, and everybody else is eating chicken and rice. So it's a kind of outlier in that aspect. But I found what works for me, and I've learned my body over the years. And just like I'm sure you've got certain things that you do that might not apply to everybody else, but it works for you because you know your body and you've experimented for so long.
Yeah, and there's genetic differences, there's metabolic differences, and people always think they need to eat more than they do. A lot of times, right. Especially fat people, it's usually like skinny people usually think they eat more. Like, hey man, you got to eat more, man. I eat all the time. It's like, nah, shut the fuck up. You don't, like like people who you could generally tell, people with appetites, real appetites, not just like, hey man, I eat chicken. Like I love when I ask people like, are you trying to gain weight? Yeah. Like, well, what are you eating? Well, I eat a lot of protein. I eat tons of chicken. It's like, okay. And I don't think, see, fat people generally don't, they underestimate or they overestimate how many calories they need. And they also like they think that because the 2,000 calorie diet is what's put on labels, that's what everybody should eat. Man, I'm eating 2,000 calories. I can't believe I'm not losing weight. Well, because your metabolism's not that fast. Like that whole guideline was made during fucking World War I. Now you don't even get out of your car to get Starbucks.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, you're eating that 2,000 thinking that's good, but you're also completely inactive throughout the day, which is burning nothing. You know what I mean?
Nothing. Like I burned, like during boxing, I probably burned 2,000 calories. I burn a lot of calories. During weight training, maybe 400, maybe that's on a hard workout. But imagine the average desk jockey, and you and I probably train harder than 99.9% of people at the gym. And, they'll be like, oh man, I can't lose weight. It's like, well, you're eating too much. Like for some people, 1,200 calories is more than enough. And, because we don't have to go out and hunt shit, right? Like we don't have to go hunt a woolly mammoth to fucking sustain our family. We just go to the grocery store and park as close as we can. And then we go in, we buy it, and then we cook it. There's no expenditure. You're not earning your food. Like we're hunters. Like fucking people are meant to fucking hunt shit. Like back in the day, to earn that fucking wildebeest or whatever you're killing, you have to go chase it and all that. Now it's like food's so readily available and we're eating frequently, and people just think they need more food, and food is social and it's emotional. So we're not just eating to live, we're living to eat. And so people get disconnected, and also they'll be like, when they'll read an article in like fucking Flex magazine, and it's like, oh my God, this bodybuilder's eating 10,000 calories a day. Well, he's a genetic elite. You know what else? LeBron James can kick your ass at basketball. At the end of the day, there's people who are better at things. And generally speaking, bodybuilders at the professional level are just fucking better than you. They're better than you at what they do, which is eating a lot of food and gaining a lot of muscle. And you just don't have that. And a lot of people get mad. Oh my God, I'm eating all I can. I'm just gaining fat. Well, yeah, because you're not that guy.
Yeah. I have to diet. I really have to suffer. Like, I can't get shredded on lovely macros like you told me what your macros were, and I was like, dang, it sounds like my off season, but I pull a fast here and there, and that's been another tool. And I tell you what, and you are probably the only people that I know of right now that are talking about fasting.
Oh, I love it. Just for the health benefits, the mental benefits, and just from someone with irritable bowel syndrome, like it's definitely was a huge step in just helping heal my irritable bowel syndrome. Every time you digest food, you're going to create some inflammation. And that's systemic inflammation. Whatever it is you eat, there's going to be some inflammatory properties. If you're able to bring down that inflammation, give your body a chance to kind of heal from the digestive process, it's going to do a lot of cool things. And also after about 16 hours, your body does some cool things with killing off dead cells. There's a lot of mental cognitive benefits. There's a lot of health benefits. Now, is fasting for everybody? No. Could a lot of people benefit from it? Yes. For me, it's not from a fat loss standpoint, from a metabolic standpoint, from a blood glucose standpoint, from an insulin standpoint. There's a lot of reasons to incorporate fasting. I'm not talking about every day. I'm not talking about one meal a day. I'm talking like, hey, just do a 24-hour fast every 2 weeks, every month, and your health will benefit from it 100%.
I'll tell you something that I did during this prep, and probably my two main reasons for was to bring down my waist size, because you're constantly hammering food, your stomach stays somewhat distended depending on your food volume. So that day off of food, I fasted 1 day a week. It was typically about 18 to 20 hours. And not only did that create a caloric deficit for me, because I love to eat and I'm all or nothing. So if I have to eat like a bird all day, I'd rather just not even eat. I want it all. If I can't eat it all, then don't give me none. Let me suffer. But it's crazy. Some of the workouts that I've had, especially following like a refeed or a cheat meal the night before, man, I go into the gym, I'm motivated, I've got plenty of energy, and especially in prep, anything that you can do to increase performance like that when you start tanking, so you got to be able to listen to your body. And then I think it's useful to implement something like that, especially if you want to optimize digestion and blood sugar, and that's something that I've always kept an eye on, especially pounding the food. You need to check, need to check your fasted blood sugar every now and then. You got to keep that insulin sensitivity right, because once that starts going up, you're more apt to store fat. You know what I mean? You got too much sugar floating in your bloodstream. So I know you got Nutrient Driver. I've got a GDA coming out as well. So I like to utilize those, and I got a fiber product as well. And so, although it wasn't by definition, it wasn't 100% fast, I still did my fiber product because I'm still kind of detoxing, and I want to be able to pull everything out from the day prior. You know what I mean? So that really helped me bring my waist in. And I know your waist is looking better than it's ever been. And my waist was as good as it's ever been too. So I think that, could have something to do with it.
I used to get accused of the whole GH gut and all that shit. And now I'm like, talk your shit now. It's like I had an issue where I had diastasis, same thing Phil Heath had, very similar. And I also had irritable bowel syndrome. It was a perfect storm. I actually started taking GH in 2 years ago, a year and a half ago when I turned 39. So it's something that I wasn't on GH, and to be called GH gut was kind of like frustrating, because I'm like, damn it, I'm not even getting the GH benefits. And I'm not, but at the end of the day, like, people online say things that are mean, and we had distension, but again, that distension wouldn't be noticeable if I wasn't at 6% body fat. So nor would my diastasis be relevant to that. But the reason, like, I remember we first found out, because I'm like, you're like, hey, what do you think about this? And I said, well, have you tried maybe throwing in a weekly fast? Say, oh, I fasted yesterday. I'm like, oh, all right, because bodybuilders don't understand that fasting can have benefits, and they just think that you got to eat your 6 meals a day, or you got to eat your 7 meals a day. And I'm a fan of frequent feedings because of the protein synthesis issue. You just synthesize protein better, and it's about every 3 to 4 hours is pretty much what we've found to be optimal based on the data. Now, does that mean it's the only way? No, there's a lot of people who eat twice a day, but as far as maximizing your protein synthesis, I think every 3 to 4 hours is about there. But again, like, fasting has other benefits. You got to look at beyond like certain studies, like fasting. It's been shown that you retain muscle. It actually, your body does retain muscle during fasts. So it's a way to decrease calories while getting in a super fat burning state. But there's also new data that says that was presented at ISSN that says that if calories are equal, fasting doesn't really do anything for fat loss. However, as a bodybuilder, what does it do for inflammation and bringing down your gut, which is huge? So there's again, you got to look beyond the data. And
I always tell people, there's not a linear progression your whole entire career, so looking at it on a weekly standpoint, sometimes you got to take a step back so you can make 2 steps forward. You know what I mean? So being a bodybuilder, you want to get the meals in every 2 hours. But then again, hey, what if your digestion is piss poor and your stomach's bloated the whole day and just everything's out of whack and your blood sugar's up? Hey, it's going to benefit you to step down there for a second, take a step back so you can take 2 steps forward. And, I didn't miss a meal for probably 15 years. I would have never, you couldn't have paid me to fast. I was like, man, I would lose all kinds of muscle, but when it comes down to refining the process and getting getting that extra little 5%, I'm willing to try something like that. And I actually, here's the thing, Mark. When I deal with clients, I coach some clients and they're like, man, I just, I need to get right, but I just love to eat. I was like, there's nobody on this planet that loves to eat more than me.
Yeah.
For heaven's sakes, I'm doing freaking 28-inch pizzas right off the stage, off a pro show. I freaking love to eat. My buddy that went with me, he's like, now, are you actually going to enjoy this? You haven't had pizza in a while. Are you going to be able to enjoy it? Of course. I'm just enjoying it on an accelerated rate.
Yeah. And you and I definitely, as it comes in now, I'm kind of more on the fitness longevity thing, but I think that we could definitely for charitable purposes, we can go outside our comfort zone and do a little eating challenge. There's that local one here at that pizzeria, man. I think we would crush that.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
I think it's Sal's Pizzeria. It's like it's 2 people, 1 pizza. And
it's
one
big ass pizza.
2 girls, 1 cup. We got this.
Yeah.
We got this. As long as it's not soft, we're good. Do you guys want to go to questions here?
There are none. I just posted for people to ask questions.
Okay, cool. We got one. Oh, about that. Let's pull that up. Let's go. I want to answer that from Damien.
It's from Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. Sorry. Is Tiger Fitness anti-vaccines? No, all my kids are vaccinated. So as far as when they were like kids, they're vaccinated. I don't know if we can speak on things that are still developmental and might not apply to all populations. I think that a vaccine is a question for you and your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if the COVID vaccine is right for you. For example, my wife can't take it because she has some issues that her doctor said, no, this isn't for you. So we're not. No, I'm fully vaccinated. I have all my vaccines when I was a kid, and so do my kids. So no, we're not anti-vaxxers. We're pro doctors. You talk to your doctor, look at your medical history, and see what's best for you. And obviously, I think everybody here's had their vaccines when they were kids, right? Like smallpox and all that. Yeah. Matt didn't have any of them. He has he just got smallpox. How was polio?
Polio was a That was the only question so far.
That's the weakest questions ever.
That's why.
Hey, Mark, what's the size of that? What's the size of that pizza at Sal's?
You know what? We'll have to. You want to look it up, Matt?
Yes.
We're going to look it up. We got Matt as our tech, but I definitely think that we should do that. And one thing I'm very fond of is dessert contests. So I think we should. So I have the I'm doing the Knox because I want to put butts in seats. I want to help promote bodybuilding. So after that, that's August 7th. August 7th. Yeah.
This 36-inch pizza is not extremely thick, but the diameter is huge. Yeah. There's no topping requirement, and its weight is around 11 pounds.
Oh, that's easy.
You and a friend have just 30 minutes to finish everything.
Well, we got to go for the record on that because I'm currently undefeated in eating contests. I've currently never not finished one. I've even beaten Ronnie Coleman in an eating challenge. So
I remember that back in the day.
Yeah. So I beat NFL linemen. I haven't done one in a while, but I think that I think we'd have a good time with it and maybe get some charitable cause involved.
The prizes are a free meal, free t-shirt, wall of fame, and each person gets a $30 gift certificate to be used later.
Bam,
$30 gift certificate. I'll take that. That's all we need. We'll donate that. Pizza. Yeah, we'll just take that $30 gift certificate and give it to a homeless person. All the homeless people in Brentwood, Tennessee. Might have to go up the road a little bit. Yeah, I think that's definitely favorable. Yeah, so we'll set it up for after the 7th, and then I plan on doing Masters USA and all that. What's your next competition plans? You taking a year off to grow?
Yeah, it's time to put on some size, man. It's time to, because I landed, in the top 50% of both the pro shows that I did. So I'm beating some good people, but to hit that top 5 of, coming out with some Olympia points, I need to stack on some lats. So I'm looking forward to hitting back with you this week. Maybe I can pick something up off of you. And I know Carbon's got, man, every time I go to Carbon, I do either back or legs. They just have optimal equipment there. And, and that's definitely something I need to work on. So I'm looking forward to that, and probably, hit 3 or 4 pro shows in a row next year. But I would like to have a solid year off to put on, 5 to 7 pounds of muscle. I think that would definitely jump me up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's so what are the weight classes you have to hit?
So now I'm 240. So I was 230 as an amateur. When you turn pro, you get an extra 10 pounds. So 240 is my weight cap now. I think I weighed in at 237, but I didn't pull water super hard my last show, and I could have been a little bit drier. So, I'll be fine. I'll be fine putting on 5 to 7 pounds of muscle, and then just playing with water to make weight. And I think that'll be a pretty favorable look for my structure anyway, because if you think about it, if you look at some of these shows, most of the guys are, I would say probably 90% of the guys are under 6 foot. Most of them around the 5'7" to 5'9" range. And so what's cool about the classic, because you get weight the taller you are. So theoretically, I'm going to have the most amount of muscle on stage, for most of these shows. And so now it just comes down to refining. And, the head judge came back to us backstage this past weekend, and it was awesome. I've never seen this before, but he basically went around the room and told every single person heads up what they needed to work on. He was like, you need more chest and shoulders, and your conditioning in the front didn't match the back. He said that to somebody, and, to some other person. He was like, look, hey, I'm disappointed in you. He was like, I've seen you way better, and I know you're capable of more. So you need to come in harder, drier next time. 2 weeks ago you had the pop. This week you didn't have the pop. I was like, man, this is cool. And he come around to me, and he was like, you know what you need to do? I'll talk to you in the Bahamas. I was like, yep, eat and grow. And he's like, yep. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's you don't get that kind of feedback. Usually feedback for most shows is you're not lean enough. It's like
right,
that.
Right.
99% of the time, as someone who's judged over 50 shows, people just don't get lean enough.
Yeah.
You got to get dirty. You got to fucking suffer a little. And that's where I've always been able to win, despite any genetic or whatever obstacles. But I actually genetically, I joke around, but I had a pretty good build, compared to a lot of people. I have wide lats, wide shoulders. My waist has come down. I think I have good legs. So other than structural things like arms and shit, it is what it is. I people like, man, you should put some size in there. I was like, bro, I'm 40. Like, I've been trying. Yeah. It is what it is. Unless I get oil in them or something, this is it. Like, this is good as it's gonna get.
I'll tell you what, those shots that you've been posting in the hallway at Carbon are some of the most impressive shots of your physique that I've seen lately. So you've definitely
all the lighting. It's just optimal there.
Hey, you hit that back double. I thought you hit that back double. I thought I was looking at an X, man.
I'm honestly, I never thought, number one, my wife would let me ever compete again. For some reason, she's like, yeah, because I'm not in prep mode. Like, I just wanted. So basically, the reason I got lean is because I stopped force feeding because I was done competing. So I'm like, I'm just gonna eat whatever, and I'm gonna do this and work on my digestion, and I want to box 3 days a week because I'll bring that up in a second. But I really want to, do my best to be as healthy as possible. And I kept getting leaner and leaner and leaner and holding all my muscle. I was fasting, 3-4 days a week, and I hit like 210. And I kept going. I'm like, dude, I look great. Now this week, just told you last night, I'm like, we're going to throw some carbs in here. And because it's going to take me thousands of calories to fill out. And I'm not doing that over, you know what it is, over 2 days with my metabolism and my activity, it's not going to happen. So, that's kind of, that's why I'm throwing it in, and I showed you what my macros are. And, I think I think that we all learn, and my wife last night, she said, look, she, I was actually making, before bed, we always have decaf. It's kind of our thing. We make decaf and then espresso. We sit down, we watch some TV. I eat a last meal. She goes, look, she knows I'm cool with you bodybuilding because you're fine. You're in a better mood than you've ever been in your life. No prep shit. She's like, you can't do the boxing tournament. She's like, you can't, like, you just had your head cut open for the cancer thing. Like, we can't have you getting, more concussions, because I've had a few over my course of my career.
That's wildly reasonable.
And I'm like, and I mean, and I'm like, she's like, well, as long as you're not, like, I know in boxing you won't be a dick. Like, I'm not gonna just go around punching my kids more than usual. But like, the bodybuilding thing, her concern is that I'd be an asshole, and so boxing, I understand the concern. I'll spar occasionally, but that's more controlled. In a fight, you're trying to hurt the other guy. So I understand that. And I'm going to just get through the bodybuilding season, get through Masters USA, which I'm going to do regardless of how these shows go. There's a lot of really good young competitors in Tennessee. And I'm not going in saying, oh, I'm going to kill everybody. The pros back. Bodybuilding's evolved since the early 2000s. These guys they're willing to take more risks than I am. You could take from that statement what you want. I'm on straight up, and this is a separate statement. I'm not doing anything. People keep asking, what are you taking in addition to HRT? It's same as it was 5 months ago when I had no plans on competing. I'm not throwing anything in there. I'm just going to get on stage, and that's why I feel great. It's like, I look like I came in here this morning. Matt probably thought I was on hallucinogens. Like, I'm in such a good mood. I'm dancing around, and
hallucinogens or cocaine. I wasn't sure.
Both. But I mean, I'm just in a good spot mentally. And I think, how is your attitude? And I want to, we'll get this going when the next 5 minutes we'll cut out. But like, what is are you able to perform? Cause you have a full-time job during prep and all that. Like,
yeah. Man, I'll tell you, sleep is so important. And a lot of people don't think I sleep that much, but I got to get at least 6 hours, seven. I feel great. Dang. And I think that has helped me recovery wise. Like yourself, I do a bunch of different recovery modalities. Like last night, I went to a place here in Bowling Green. I've got a key to, fortunately, and I did the infrared sauna. I did the red light therapy. I didn't quite get in the cold tub last night. I wasn't feeling it, man. You got to be about half psycho to get in there.
Well, if you have time after we're done training, let's go to Lifetime Fitness. Let's do the sauna. I have guest passes, right? Do the sauna, do the steam room. We come to my house, just hang out a little bit. I got the red light therapy. We have all this shit going on. Matt will give you a full body massage, naked.
Yeah.
Bare hands.
With the hot stones, please.
Yeah.
No stones.
No stones.
In the skin.
In the skin. No, but I think a great thing for us to go on if we do a video outside the podcast would be recovery techniques, because both of us have like a lot of bodybuilders just bodybuild. Like you and I have jobs, you have multiple companies, I have multiple companies. I think that going into recovery techniques would be a great topic to delve into. That would take a good 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, do you do any type of scraping, Mark, like the Graston?
So there's a guy locally. It's called The Shed. The guy's awesome. I can give you his info, but he reached out to me and he's like, "Hey man, I love it." I'm like, "Hey man, dude, I like your shit." Like his Instagram's scary because he posts like body, like this, how the skin looks after the cupping and the scraping.
Yeah.
And I went there once, and I'm not doing that this close to a show. No way.
No.
So I'm going to get a good old fashioned rub and tug on Friday, just a standard like deep tissue, like not even deep tissue, just sports massage. But this guy, he did the cupping where you scrape the cup, where you move the cup. He did the scraping. And so what happened is immediately afterward, I felt it was almost like I was in an out of body experience. I felt so good. And crazy. Then the day after, because it released so much shit that was built up, I felt like I had fucking COVID. Like I was like, oh my God, I got the Rona again. And I'm like, wait, I've already had this shit. And I'm like, oh no, it was because of what I did. Like, I was drained. And I'm like, dude, what's going on, Chris? He's like, dude, just drink extra water and just whatever. And I went in the sauna. That helped kind of get some of it out. But this shit released so much lactic acid, toxins. But there was like, you know, I do HRT in my delts and my lats. All the scar tissue is gone. My everything felt like the next week. And he says only do it like once a month. It's that intense. This dude he works on professional athletes, like really world-class CrossFitters, not just like, you know, the housewives down the street. Right. This dude is legit. But yeah, I love it, but you got to be careful when and how often you do it.
I was going to say, I have the tools. I don't know if you saw the stuff on my page a little while ago, but the torture room guy, he's out of Washington State. And so he worked on me a few times, and actually, you know, he worked on me probably 5 days out from junior nationals. But I told him, I was like, look, we can't do any inflammation. I just want, let's just do separation techniques. Yeah. So, you know, he had a tool that was, he even made me pull a vacuum, and he would go down and with his thumbs and dig in between the, you know, the separation in your abs and your vacuum. And it was pretty wild
with my fake ass stuff. My fucking, I have mesh in my abs. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why do I have tax? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I have cups. I've got a cupping set. I bought the same exact one that my massage therapist uses. It was cheap. It was like $30-$40 for the set of cups. So I got that, and I got a few different blades, so I can bring it if you wanted to, you know,
like fun
work over a spot or two. I'll tell you what I did, Mark, because I was doing so much freaking cardio, man. I was on 2 hours a day, you know, for about 5 weeks. And you know the feeling, you know, in your sweep when they're just beat down, and you can kind of feel it kind of almost like dissolving. You're like, man, these bad boys need some rest, you know. And you know, I would give them rest from time to time, but you know, then again, I needed to burn some calories, and I still had some weight to lose. So, you know, a couple times a week, I was scraping my quads and hams and glutes, you know, for recovery. And it definitely opened up the blood flow there. And like you said, it felt like an out of body experience. Like the amount of blood flow going through there, healing those suckers. You know,
the Mark great. Also said the stim unit, the Mark Pro has been great. I was really sore because I did on what was it, Monday, I did boxing in the morning because I didn't know my brother was coming by. He was coming by on the way back from something. And then at night he's like, let's train legs. I'm like, yeah, of course. Dude, I was like, my legs are sore like I've never trained them before. You know, and it's and I yesterday I sat there, put the stim unit on, and it helped get some shit out. But on that note, man, where can people find, we got to do this again. We got so much to talk about. Where can people find you? And I got to go on your podcast too. I mean, make the place pretty.
Yeah. You're gonna be the first celebrity guest, baby.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Episode 20, we're gonna break you in.
Well, Matt's gonna link all this down below in all of our materials. Where can people find you?
On Instagram, Dreamweaver IV is probably the most popular spot to get a hold of me. Also, my supplements and apparel and my podcast apparel are on thetitanfuel.com. Okay. Anybody that's wanting some coaching or wants a program or two, we got dreamweaverfit.com. So that's where I do my online coaching, personal training. Check me out on YouTube. Look at some of the crazy food challenges. People like watching those way more than me working out or doing anything.
Is why we think productive. Getting a ton of pizza.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time as we get through these shows. Well, we appreciate you coming on again, guys. One of the good guys in the industry, hard worker, embodiment of just a good dude, good citizen. Follow this man. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is the Gainzcast. We'll see you guys next time.